Truth Plus Media.
Hi, everybody. It's Mike Gastineau, and welcome to another great episode of Iconic Sonics. Today's episode is a rewatchable of the Sonics' Game 7 victory against the Utah Jazz during the 1996 Western Conference Finals. This is one of the biggest games in Sonics basketball history. It holds a special place in the hearts of all Seattle Hoops fans, no doubt about that. And especially for the fans lucky enough to experience it, it's a day you'll never forget. This conversation includes the coach, the Hall of Famer, George Karl, the Rain Man, Sean Kemp, the Glove, Gary Payton, and the voice of the Sonics, Kevin Calabro. The episode was recorded in front of hundreds of Sonics fans on May 27th at the Dick's Drive-In in Queen Anne, just minutes from Key Arena, where the original game was played over 25 years ago. The Iconic Sonics podcast has been airing for a couple of years now, includes fantastic in-depth conversations with several Sonics legends, including Nate McMillan, Hersey Hawkins, Spencer Haywood, Lenny Wilkins, many more. We've also been joined by sports and NBA guests, including Kenny Mayne, Mark Spears, and others. Iconic Sonics is produced by George Karl's media company, Truth Plus Media. You can find more details and all the episodes at iconicsonics.com, and all the episodes also can be found anywhere you get your media, Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. This special episode of Iconic Sonics was brought to you by Dick's Drive-In, Simply Seattle, and Rise Above, as well as Swinomish Casino and Lodge, the Edgewater Hotel, Link, and the Run Freely Foundation. Thanks to all of them for making the event on the 27th and this broadcast of Iconic Sonics possible.
All right, everybody, we're about to kick off the podcast side of affairs, but first and foremost, we got the man of the moment, Coach George Karl. Big round of applause. Hall of Famer. I think we're going to bring back the Sonics. The fandom is here. Coach, I'm just going to give the mic to you to say hello to everybody and welcome them to an evening that you've helped put together.
Well, I don't know what to say, except I'm glad to be back. It's the Northwest is my home of basketball, even though I've played and coached in many cities. The best place I've ever been is here. My daughter lives in Olympia, so I come up to the Northwest a lot. And I think we're all here for one reason. That's the hope to get the Sonics back in Seattle. It's a great city. It has a great building. You know, the NBA always bitched about our building. I think the Key Arena was damn good, but it wasn't good enough for the NBA, but now we got one that's definitely good enough for the NBA. You know, basketball in Seattle is not only the Sonics have a legacy and a tradition, but, you know, high school basketball is very good in the city of Seattle. College basketball has been up and down. It's going to go up again. Don't worry, it'll go up again. But the whole thing comes on. There's a lot of high school kids that go to Duke and North Carolina and some other schools that have turned out to be damn good pros. This draft will have a guy that'll go in the top 3, probably from Seattle. And you know what I love about, you know, what is happening, there's an enthusiasm, an honest enthusiasm that we should have a team here. And I really believe the NBA feels that, and they know that. But the thing is, we got to stay positive and continue to show the NBA that there's a fan base here that you don't have to build if you go to San Diego or Kansas City or St. Louis. I would bet if they announce an expansion that they'll sell out within 10 minutes. And you know, I've had a very good, fun career, but the best time was here in Seattle. I watched the game that we're going to watch today. It wasn't a very skilled game, but it was a hell of a competitive game. And, you know, I'll tell you what I felt about that game. I felt that the fans won that game for us. We did not play extremely well. The momentum of the series was going Utah's way. They beat us in Game 5 here, killed us in Game 6 we came back here and the fans started chanting when Karl Malone was shooting free throws. And in normal times, I wouldn't think that's that important. But remember, he missed 2 free throws at the end of the game that ended the game. And I really think the fans got in his head in a lot of ways. I appreciate you all being loyal to the NBA over the years. And deep down in my heart, I really think we're going to get a team back. And it's going to be a great run. They won a championship in '79. We came close in '90. If the team would have stayed here, I think they might have won one by then. Oklahoma City screwed it up a couple times. And I'll be honest with you. I hope nobody hears in the NBA. If Oklahoma City called and said they want to put my name up in the rafters, I think I'd have to say no. But it'd be a special day if I go in the rafters over in that new building over there. So that's my dream. 2022 has been a good year for me, a great year for me. And the Hall of Fame tipped it off in a great way. I don't know, I've never won the championship, but maybe the Hall of Fame goes atop of that, maybe? I don't know. Trying to figure it out. But thank you for your loyal support over the years. Keep it going, stay positive, be optimistic. But let's don't mess it up, and let's have the team back here very soon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Coach Karl. With that, we're going to transition to our first podcast here. So I'm going to let you go, but you're going to have a lot of moments to hear from Coach Karl. I know, we got the 2 good hats. By the way, do stop by the Simply Seattle shop. If you stop by the Dick's Drive-In Apparel shop and you buy anything, you'll get a raffle ticket with a chance to win 2 sweet tickets to actually join Coach Karl and Gary and Sean. So stop by, support all of our sponsors, get burgers, get drinks, and then with that, podcast crew, come on up and take the stage, and we're going to see how professional I can be as a podcast host. Kind of from right to left. We have Kimi King. She's the COO of Vault 89, works directly with Doug Baldwin and their group, trying to do really great work in the community. I think they also do investments as well, and just a great example of the value of a player making Seattle their home in Doug Baldwin. So we're really excited to have you here, Kimi. Next to Kimi, we've got Chairman Willie Frank of the Nisquali Tribe. A huge, big round of applause for the Nisquali Tribe. Yeah. If you ever want to applause, just applause. It sounds really cool once you're on stage. And then we've got Jaci McCormack. Jaci, of course, is the CEO of Rise Above. Rise Above is an organization that does really important work, specifically in the Native American community, trying to empower youth to get into basketball and sports at large, as well as later, in a couple of years, you're going to see a movie about her life that's really exciting and just kind of important that we're telling stories about sports heroes in our community, and different heroes in our community as many ways as possible. So, yeah. And with that, I guess my name's Saul Spady, and I run all the marketing for Dick's Drive-Ins. I used to have a radio show, but we won't talk about that here. With that being said, the topic that we do want to get into is the value of really sports and culture in cities. I bring back to a pretty dark moment in the city when at one time a Seattle City Council member named Nick Licata said that there's close to zero cultural value from the Sonics. I think looking at all of you in this crowd, we know that's not true. We know our experiences, with the Seattle Seahawks or with the Seattle Storm who are supporting this event. And so I'd love to start with our panel, and I'll start with Kimi, and then we'll kind of work our way back. Why do you think that's wrong, and what do you see the cultural value of sports being in your experiences here in Seattle?
Definitely. Well, I think that sports in general, not just in Seattle, but anyone who has played some sort of sport knows the value of team and the value of community. And here in Seattle, we just take it to another level, right? Whether it's the Seahawks, whether it's the Sonics, the Storm, the Mariners, we take it to a whole other level. And there's nothing else that unites, that breaks down barriers more than sports. So if Doug were here, he'd use a lot of other choice words that he could use that I don't use on stage. But obviously, just not something that we believe in. So.
Willie, what's your perspective on the cultural value of sports?
Well, the cultural value of basketball and sports within the Native community is huge. Every one of us who live in the Native community has picked up a basketball or swung for the fences. And here we are today in 2022. The Nisquali Tribe, we have a great relationship with the Seattle Storm. They come down to our youth center. They come down and work with our youth. They do practices. We got one of our our Nisquali youth here today with us. And it's that value of teamwork, of family, and community. And I'm honored to be here. I'm a lifelong Sonic fan. We got to bring in the Sonics back. So definitely glad to be here.
Jackie, you have such an incredible sports story. I mean, we're going to make a movie about your experience with sports. What's your kind of message on the cultural value of sports?
Well, I think for us, like Willie said, Chairman Frank said, like, basketball is culture. Like, that is part of our culture now. And I think for me, one of the things that I've been blessed with recently moving to Seattle is, like, I've really been able to be mentored by Coach Lenny Wilkins. And I think Coach Wilkins, I think, is a true testament to what some of the sports brings to this community. He supported the Odessa Brown Children's Hospital for over 40 years, and the impact that he's had on families it's incredible. So, along with culture, I think, just sports in general just brings a whole holistic approach to the town, the city.
So I'm going to kind of continue with you and your work that you've been doing specifically with the tribes, you've been running these really cool clinics where you're helping to introduce kids to the game of basketball. When you see that, when you think back to kind of when you first started getting into basketball and then now what you're doing to kind of connect kids with stars, from the sport, maybe experiences you didn't have, why is that so important to you to kind of build that kind of, ladder up that maybe you that didn't exist when you were trying to get into the game of basketball?
I think it's important, every time that we get out of our comfort zone, I think we grow a little bit, right? And so exposing kids to people who are successful, that want to do what they want to do, are pursuing their dreams. Like, one of our very first clinics was Gary Payton up in the Tulalip Reservation. And Gary, when he came up to the Tulalip Reservation, actually connected with a family that he kind of adopted when he was a Seattle Sonic. And to see that come full circle, Gary talking with the mom who now is a grandparent, and the impact that had on that family was amazing. And he remembered that family. As soon as he stepped on the reservation, they met, they connected, and he understood right in that moment the importance of why Rise Above existed. It's not just to create the next basketball player, but it's to empower the kids to have the dream A, but also dream B, C, D, and E.
Iconic Sonics is fed by Dick's Drive-In Restaurants. What can I tell you about Dick's food that you don't already know? Probably nothing. They're a Seattle legend for serving great burgers, great fries, great shakes. What I can tell you that you might not know is Dick's also has a cool t-shirt now that salutes the 95-96 NBA Finals Sonics team. Take a look at the Sonics t-shirts available through Dick's at Dick's Drive-Ins, their Twitter feed at Dick's Drive-Ins. You'll see the photos. You'll buy the shirt. You'll be happy. Thanks to Dick's Drive-In Restaurants for the support on Iconic Sonics. And our nonprofit sponsor on Iconic Sonics is the Run Freely Foundation, a 501c3 organization founded by our friend Kenny Mayne. It raises money to help financially support veterans who need limb salvage, medical care, and rehabilitation. Years ago, Kenny suffered a catastrophic ankle injury, and after years of pain, he found relief with treatment in 2017 that got him both walking and running again pain-free. With that discovery, Kenny wanted to help others in pain, and the Run Freely Foundation was born to help provide the care he received to those who cannot afford to cover its costs. You can find out more and get involved with this great organization at runfreely.org. The Run Freely Foundation, proud sponsor of Iconic Sonics.
We are always looking for mentors in our community, and it matters if a mentor looks like you. And when you lose a basketball team like the Sonics, when you lose an icon like Kevin Durant, who's gone on to become an incredible venture capitalist, or you lose a Russell Westbrook, who's kind of a fashion icon, like he should have worked with Nordstrom, you're losing kids in your community seeing that they could follow that route and become really anything that they could be, whether it's a basketball player or a venture capitalist. I'll go to you, Kimi, because Doug Baldwin is so unique of a sports star. I mean, he's the dream athlete. He invests in his community. He's always been really active and open about what he's passionate about, whether it's from business or the community. What do you think we lost not having a Doug Baldwin interact with, let's say, a Kevin Durant during that period? Like, what do you see that we almost missed by losing our basketball team?
Yeah, a lot. When you play sports, I think you're a natural leader, right? That's something that sports teaches you. And you have an opportunity that it's so much more than the actual sport. And I think that when you take something away from a community, you feel it because you're losing role models, you're losing that voice to adults, to kids. And so when you have a Doug Baldwin, and y'all may have heard of this little thing called Champions of Change. It's coming up on June 26th, but with Cliff Averill and Mike Bennett. Like, these are three guys who love their community, who are actually taking that leadership to another level. And so when you take that away from a community, it's not just we miss having that sports team, but you're missing all those other opportunities. And one of the things that these guys are doing through Champions of Change is they're raising some money for their own foundations, but then also looking into the community and supporting other smaller nonprofits. Maybe not necessarily the bigger names that you're used to hearing, but some of the smaller ones that have just as much value. And so it's an opportunity to really speak and support an entire community when you take that away.
Well, and I'll just give a small story on that. I supported Mary's Place, and Dick's Drive-Ins has been a big supporter of Mary's Place on family homelessness for almost 8 years now. But when we started, they weren't a huge charity. Actually, the Drive-Ins Change was the biggest corporate sponsor for family homelessness. And then actually Stephen Hauschka ended up getting involved. Michael Bennett would show up to some of Hauschka's events and would give back. And I'm not saying that's what's led all these other big organizations getting into it, but you got to find an organization you love and then support them when they're small, because it's kind of like supporting a sports team, before they blow up. It's really an authentic experience. And so with that, I want to go to Chairman Willie Frank of the Nisquali Tribe and specifically talk about your passion for Rise Above and why you think it's such an important charity to support either through to the movie or just to the clinics themselves and the value that you've seen.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a kind of a fan of Jackie. I love the work she's doing and, of course, watching her play basketball. But I think the work that Rise Above does coming into our Native communities and not just working on basketball, but working on life skills and helping people, with whether it's wellness issues or anything that might be going on, school, grades, being there for them, just having that impact, because a lot of our folks know growing up for our tribes, it wasn't always easy working with the outside communities. And, there's no better example than that. My father, Billy Frank Jr., will be representing the state of Washington. Thank you. So each state has 2 statues here in each state, and he will be a representative for the state of Washington, my father, who was arrested over 50 times for fishing on the Nisquali River just to exercise his treaty right. But look how full circle we've came. We're sitting here together today, all of us, and that's what this is Rise Above is about, is bringing people together. And here you are, all of us united here to bring the Sonics back with the great Coach Carl here, who I just admire. I mean, he's just, that's what this is about. This is about community. And, our tribes, we've been here since the beginning. We're not going anywhere. And we all want to bring the Sonics back. We know that. So, that's something we really got to focus on together.
I love that perspective, and I'll just say this for Dick's Drive-Ins. We really try to be everyone's burger business, right? We're trying to build community, whether it's for sports or Well, that's an interesting noise. Sorry, that's out there in the wild. For sports, and we're trying to build environments where we can raise money together and make a real difference. And it's special here because I've known about Rise Above, and I've been seeing your journey to make a movie for a really long time. And now we can all kind of gather together, learn about it with fans of the Drive and fans of the Sonics. What's your kind of perspective, Jaci, as you've had such a long journey to make a movie. Now, it takes forever to make a movie, and everyone, it's going to take even longer to release the trailer, but how have you enjoyed and appreciated Seattle's community and how we've gotten behind you and gotten behind the Rise Above story?
Well, Seattle's been incredible. The Oregon, I know he was giving me, some grief about the Oregon. I went to high school in Lake Oswego, and so when you're in Oregon, you either pick, you're an Oregon Duck fan or an Oregon State fan, so I picked Oregon. But when I moved to Seattle, it's just been incredible. I've been exposed to so many incredible leaders and athletes in the community, and I think that's what makes it so special is having a Coach Carl, having a Coach Wilkins, so you really get behind the efforts. I mean, we were bringing Gary Payton to the Colville Indian Reservation, and I don't know if you know where Colville is, but it is so remote, and we were driving, and he was like, are we safe? It was so remote. We were driving, and it was a couple hours out. But having the support of the leaders and athletes of my journey, but it's not about me, it's the whole representation matters, right? As long as our kids can see people like them in successful positions and pursuing their dreams, it innately gives our kids the ability to dream bigger dreams, and that's what it's about.
It's about learning how to be on a team. I'm a pretty failed sports athlete, but I run a pretty decent film production. And you got to realize we all play a role. There are people on the camera right now. There's individuals that have made this event happen, like Brian Robinson, Truth Plus Media, and really their entire team alongside of our sponsors. And you got to realize you could be a great goalie, but you could be a really bad forward. And that's okay. When we come together, we can do incredible things. Kimi, I want to jump back to you and specifically Doug Baldwin. What's it like working for such an he's such a Renaissance man when you think about him? How has that changed your experience and your perspective on athletes and their work, working with such a unique guy like Doug Baldwin?
He's a good guy, but let's not blow him up too much, all right? Just gonna put that out there. I've known him for about 10 years now. But he is a wonderful human. When I met him, I didn't really follow his career much, and he asked me to do some work on the side after we had worked together on an event. And I told him, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you do. Are you a good human? And after 10 years, I can tell you, he is a wonderful human. He's obviously very intelligent. He's an athlete, so he has this drive and competitive spirit. And he's all about mission and community. And so when we have an opportunity to work with people like Rise Above, it's an easy decision, right? It's not just about Jaci and a movie being made on her life. It's what is the mission of Rise Above? Do they align with the mission of what we're doing at Vault 89? And that's what we want to do. That's who we want to partner with. And to this day, he'll say it's not about the bottom line. Not all money is good money. It has to be about community and being mission and community minded, and he is absolutely 100% that.
Well then, Chairman Frank, I'm going to give you just more of an open-ended question here. You were mentioning that members of your family couldn't make it here today because they're playing basketball. What would it mean specifically to the Sonics to be able to actually come to a game here in this stadium and see kind of all the hard work of everyone here, everyone that you know that's been put in, and actually get to celebrate the Supersonics coming back?
Well, my young niece over here, she hasn't even had a chance to experience the Sonics. My daughter, she's at home today at Nisquali, getting ready to play in a native tournament that we're hosting this weekend at Nisquali. So I couldn't even convince her to come up here today. She wanted to stay home to hoop, and so the impact that basketball has for our kids, just the opportunity of, like we've talked about, teamwork, family and community. It's huge, so I think bringing these Sonics back and we could watch them over there. I hope that I'm able to get in the first game. It'll probably be sold out within the first 20 seconds, maybe 10 seconds.
We'll
but
call in
definitely.
favors together.
You know
We're
what?
going to combine
just-
our favor power to get like one ticket for you.
All I know is that it'll be a great day when we do bring basketball back to Seattle. It is a true, it's missed, and we need to get it back here, definitely.
So, Jackie, I'll close with you kind of on that. I think you are really part of the Associative Sonics family. I think you know our pain as a community here. What would it mean to you to see the Sonics come back, and what are you most looking forward to having NBA basketball back here in Seattle?
For me in Rise Above, it's always about the kids, right? And if we can have the kids see another sports team, another group of individuals that's giving back to the community, that's inspiring them through sport to pursue their dreams, to be a better person, to be a better athlete, that's what it's about. And I think that's a ripple effect. And you all probably could share stories about how some Sonic inspired you in some way. And that's really what it's about is exposing our kids to more people who are pursuing their dreams and being successful both on and off the court.
I'll leave you all with a quick story, and then I'm actually going to give Kimi the last word because you've got an event. And so I want you to tell everybody about the event, and so we can bring them back. Because I think it's so much fun to gather together like this and just support everyone from Rise Above to the organization that you're starting with Cliff Averill, Doug, and Michael Bennett. I wasn't a Sonics fan until about 2004, which was a really bad time to become a Sonics fan, because like you were really getting like it's like I became a Mariners fan about 20 years ago, so it's like right on time, and it's been a lot of sadness trying to work with the people trying to bring the team back, but it's also been a bit of a meeting your comrades in arms and passing the baton. I was in college when we lost the team, and I came back. I met people like Brian Robinson and Adam Brown behind Sonics Gate, and these are the groups that created really this community that we see here now. And then I've been able to work with Brian on issues like family homelessness, things that had nothing to do with basketball. And then from there, it was really crazy because we wanted to get this hockey team, and there were all these different people that wanted to bring basketball back or hockey back. And Brian helped communicate to the Lewickis and that whole team that if they invested more in maybe giving back to the community, like family homelessness, maybe they would get their arena approved. And they ended up putting a lot of money forward for youth care. And it's weird. You may have these little quests to bring the Sonics back that they may run into, like helping to get more money for youth care when the Kraken come back, but you've done something in your community, and you've brought people together, and you've made a difference. And each of these individuals here, from Kimi to Chairman Frank to Jackie at Rise Above, are all doing that in their own way, and they really inspire me, and it's an honor to be here at Dick's Drive and to talk to all of you. With that, I'm going to go back down the line. Each of you get a final word. Just let me know what's on your mind, and let us know, kind of what's going on with Rise Above next, and how we can keep track of the organization.
Well, we are in the pre-production that we have a finished script, and we hope to be filming this fall and winter, and be in Sundance in January of 2023. That's the film
Party
side.
in Sundance.
Woo!
I got the burgers. I'll fly them out.
We're also in the process of making some incredible facilities. We're building Rise Above centers with some of our key tribes and key partners, which is going to give Rise Above brick and mortar to be able to impact more kids. And on the direct service, we're just partnering with a lot of different tribes across Washington State. And we also are serving the urban Native youth population in Seattle, because our Native kids struggle disproportionately higher rates of a lot of unhealthy behaviors and things, and we're trying to help change that narrative for our kids.
I love that. Thank you.
I don't know how to top that, Jackie. You're doing a lot of good things, but as chairman of the tribe, we continue moving forward every day. We just built a new health and wellness center at Nisquali. We're very proud of that. Work on the healing side of life. The last 2 years have been tough. And of course, as I said earlier, we're really pushing to raise funds for the Billy Frank Jr. statue, bring the Marcus Whitman statue back to Washington, and send my father, Billy Frank Jr., over to Washington, D.C. So that's going to be a big push, and you'll probably see Nisquali in the news a lot here in the next few months. So
good news it'll be. And finally, Kimi, tell us about the event that you have coming up and how we can all participate. And then, that'll be a podcast.
Yes, so June 26th, I'm looking over at Sarah, who's going to make sure I speak correctly. June 26th, Climate Pledge Arena, you got 3 former Super Bowl champions who are going to attempt to play basketball because they think they're basketball players, but they're not. And I'll hear about that later. But your head coaches are Marshawn Lynch and Gary Payton as your head coaches. Jamal Crawford, Isaiah Thomas, Sue Bird will all be playing, and a lot of other people. But come out, support them, not just for the sports, but for community, for the organizations that they're going to be supporting through the funds that are raised. And it helps us continue the work that we do with Rise Above when we're addressing some of the things that Jackie talked about, really on community. And we look at health equity, we look at health and wellness centers, and there's such a greater need that sports really brings us together, but we really need to continue to remember to address the much larger issues that are there. Sports is just the avenue to do it, so come on out and support.
June 26th, it's the Champions of Change game. I wish I could gamble on it. I feel like whoever has Jamal Crawford is probably going to win, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, a huge round of applause for our panelists here. You can boo me later once the cameras have ended. But my name's Saul Spady. It's so great to have you all join us here for this a gathering of Sonics legends to watch the game. We have the 1995 Western Conference Game 7 about to broadcast for all of you here. Yeah, podcast people, you missed out. Everybody, give them a big round of applause.